I came back home for Christmas, expecting the usual warmth. Instead, I walked into a quiet house, completely empty except for Grandma, sitting alone at the table, poking at some cold leftovers. There was a note waiting for me. No envelope, just a ripped piece of notebook paper with my name scribbled across it in thick black pen. It read, "Spent your $7,500 loan on a family cruise. Take care of Grandma while we're gone. Love, Mom." Grandma looked up at me with tired eyes and said softly, "We'll fix this." All I could do was nod. A few days later, they were already messaging me, begging for help. I didn't bother knocking when I got to their place. Technically, it was their house, but it felt more like mine, considering how much money I'd poured into it over the years. I had promised I'd be home for the holidays, just like always. But when I opened the front door, whatever joy I thought I'd find wasn't there. Sure, the Christmas tree was up. The little plastic star blinked like it felt guilty. But the place felt hollow. No laughter, no rustling gift wrap, no cinnamon smells, or the usual batch of burnt cookies. All I heard was the soft clink of a fork tapping against a plate. "Hello?" I called out, stepping carefully inside. "In here, sweetheart," came Grandma's voice from the kitchen. It sounded small, faded. I turned the corner and there she was, bundled up in that old purple sweater she always wore, sitting alone with a plate of half-eaten ham and cold stuffing in front of her. I stared for a second. "Where's everyone?" She didn't answer right away. Just gave me a weak smile and slid a folded note across the table with shaking hands. I opened it. No greeting, no explanations. Just that awful sentence about the cruise and the loan. My mouth didn't work. My brain stopped on the words loan and cruise. That money was supposed to cover my dental surgery. I'd saved for more than a year, driving Uber, freelancing, skipping meals, and pulling night shifts. Holidays, weekends, you name it. Grandma watched me like someone trying to avoid stepping on a landmine. Silent. Careful. "I guess they thought you wouldn't mind," she finally said, her voice almost a whisper. She folded a napkin in her lap like she needed something to do with her hands. "They left yesterday." I dropped into the nearest chair. The seat felt colder than the whole damn house. No call. No warning. Just vanished with my money and left Grandma behind. I whispered something under my breath. She gave this dry, bitter laugh. "Oh honey, you know they only call when they want something." I nodded slowly, fists clenched under the table. This wasn't new. It was just worse than usual. Grandma took a small sip of orange juice, looked me straight in the eyes, and said, "We'll fix this." I didn't say a word. But deep down something broke. And something colder started to settle in. That night she went to bed early. Said her hips couldn't handle much more waiting around. She kissed my cheek, patted my arm, and whispered, "You were always the only one who stayed kind." Then she shuffled off to her room with that limp she got from falling down the stairs 2 winters ago, the same injury no one ever took her to rehab for. I stayed up. Sat there in the dark, no TV, no lights, just me and that damn note. That stupid note. My loan. My money. The $8,500 I had scraped together one exhausting shift at a time. Gone. All spent on a cruise. I opened the family group chat. Not a single message. No Merry Christmas. Nothing. I scrolled back. The last message from Mom was from November. "Don't forget to transfer the loan to Dad's account. We need to book before prices go up." Loan. Not gift. They knew exactly what they were doing. I remembered how Mom sounded when she pitched the idea, sweet, persuasive. "It's just a short-term loan. We'll pay you back by February, promise. You can always push back your dental thing." And I nodded. Like I always did. When they needed help covering Jacob's school fees, I nodded. When Dad's gambling caught up to him, I nodded. When Kelly lost her job, well, quit because her boss was mean, I nodded and sent rent money anyway. Because if I didn't, I was the selfish one. The ungrateful one. Because family comes first. Because after everything we've done for you. What had they done for me exactly? Kicked me out at 17 because I wouldn't cover for Ethan after he stole Grandma's pain meds. Missed my college graduation, they were too busy moving Haley into her boyfriend's place. Forgot my birthday 3 years straight. But when money was involved, oh, suddenly I was family again. By the next morning, I knew everything. They weren't just on a cruise. They were living it up on the Aurora, a luxury liner coasting through the Caribbean. 10 days. Private suites. Personal butler. Infinity pool. $3,000 per person. 4 of them. I know because Haley posted a photo on Instagram, must have forgotten to block me this time. All 4 of them in white bathrobes, toasting champagne. The caption? Finally some peace, away from all the leeches and negativity. Leeches. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. They used my money, ditched Grandma with leftovers, and called me a leech. That was the final snap. Not sadness. Not even anger. Focus. That's what took over. That evening, Grandma found me in the garage, surrounded by piles of papers and bills, digging through Dad's old filing cabinet. She didn't say anything. Just watched as I sifted through decades of buried mess. I need the full story, I told her. Where the money went. What they did. Who knew what? She sat beside me, pulled out this old, beat-up notebook, and flipped to a marked page. Let's start with 2016, she said. That's when your mother took my pension login. By midnight, we had the numbers. By the next day, we had a plan. They rolled into the driveway like they were returning from a red carpet. Same people who left Grandma with moldy coleslaw and a guilt note now strutted in like they'd just won the lottery. I heard their laughter before they even opened the door. Haley came in first, designer suitcase trailing behind her, ribbons in her hair, freshly done nails. Ugh, so glad to be back. That last chip dinner gave me hives. Then Mom walked in like a soap opera villain, sunglasses still on, despite being inside. Did you even clean a little? She said, stepping over Grandma's shawl like it was a pile of trash. Dad followed, looking bloated and sunburned. Grunted when he saw me. Oh, you're still here? Ethan came last. Didn't even glance at Grandma. Just dropped his bags and threw himself onto the couch. I didn't speak. Just sat there at the table, hands folded, calm. Waiting. Where's the food? Mom asked, peering around the kitchen like she was queen of the castle. In the fridge, I said. Still plenty of the ham you left behind. Ethan snorted. Still on that, he mumbled. Dude, just order takeout. It's not like you're broke, Ethan muttered. I stood up slowly, letting the weight of the moment settle around us. Glad everyone's here, I said. Sit down. There's something I want to show you. Ethan rolled his eyes, but flopped into a chair anyway. Dad cracked his knuckles, trying to act like he wasn't nervous. Haley didn't even look up, she was hunting for an outlet to charge her phone. I turned my laptop around so they could all see the screen, and with one click, the first video began to play. It wasn't just a video, it was a spreadsheet. A detailed financial breakdown that Grandma and I spent 4 long days piecing together. Line by line. It tracked every penny drained from her pension. Every ATM withdrawal made at gas stations Dad always stopped at. Every so-called emergency that Haley Zell requested cash for, stuff that turned out to be makeup hauls and Apple accessories. Where the hell did you get this? Mom asked, her voice suddenly sharp. From the bank, I said calmly. You really should have been more careful when logging into someone else's account. Next up, screenshots. Dozens of Venmo transactions, login timestamps from Mom's devices, IP matches to Dad's usual online poker habits. Then came the emails. One from Mom to Haley. He won't notice the cruise deposit missing. He trusts us too much. Haley replied. He's soft. Who leaves Grandma alone at Christmas anyway? My jaw tightened, but I kept going. I could stop here, I said. But I won't. I opened the final file. A voice recording. It was Kelly, Jacob's wife, on my porch 2 nights ago. Crying. I didn't want to go. I begged him not to do it. But Ethan said if you didn't send the money, they'd just leave her and deal with it later. I kept quiet 'cause he said it'd all blow over. I'm sorry. Ethan shot up. You recorded my wife? That's illegal. No, I replied. She asked me to. Said she was done covering for you. Tired of watching you squeeze the life out of everyone. Dad stood now too, face bright red. You little snake, he growled. You've been digging through our accounts, eh? Like someone who's sick of being robbed, I cut in. Then I clicked one last tab. It was a pre-written email. Subject line. Formal report of elder financial abuse, evidence attached. Recipients? The Social Security Fraud Division, Grandma's lawyer, the county ombudsman, and a couple of local news stations. You have 48 hours, I said, my voice steady. Every cent returned. Or this goes out. Haley's hands started shaking. You're bluffing. You destroy your own family. No, I said. You destroyed it. I'm just sending the invoice. Then, for the first time, Grandma stood up. She hadn't said a single word until then. She walked to the head of the table, placed her hand on the back of a chair, and looked at each of them like she was seeing strangers. I raised 3 of you, she said. Fed you. Changed you. Protected you. And when I couldn't walk, you left me with frozen beans and moldy pie while you drank champagne on stolen money. She paused, her voice trembling. You should be grateful it's him coming after you, because if it were me... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The silence said enough. Dad mumbled something and stormed out. Haley burst into tears and tried to hug Grandma. She turned her back. Ethan glared at me. You're not family anymore. I smiled. Good. That means I'm finally free. They didn't think I'd go through with it. Even after all that. Even after Grandma hit them with the kind of stare that could freeze boiling water, they still thought they could twist it, wait it out, wear me down. But that version of me, the one who smiled, nodded, handed over cash and said thanks when they tossed me scraps. He died the second they blew through $8,500 of my money on piña coladas and shrimp cocktails. The first day passed in silence. No calls, no texts, just me and Grandma, alone in that cold house, eating microwave oatmeal and refreshing the bank app every couple hours. Still nothing. Day 2, I sent the email. Attached everything. The receipts, the messages, the audio. Filed and time-stamped. At 6:20 p.m. I got the reply. Thank you for your submission. A case has been opened. Day 3, the fallout started. Ethan cracked first. I woke up to 15 missed calls and a wall of messages, bouncing between, we didn't mean it that way, and, you're really gonna wreck your own family over some cash? Then came Mom's classic move, guilt. You're being emotional. Let's take the post down and talk. I didn't respond, just forwarded it all to Sophie, my lawyer. She had been working alongside Grandma's legal advisor since the night I recorded Kelly's confession. By noon, Sophie sent formal letters of intent to sue, to Mom, Dad, Jacob, and Haley. She wasn't playing games. The claims? Elder financial abuse, unauthorized access to protected accounts, misuse of family loans. With interest and damages, the total owed came to $15,399.85. The next evening, Mom showed up. She looked wrecked. No makeup, hair pulled back like she hadn't bothered to brush it. Can we talk? She asked, voice shaking. I folded my arms. Only if you brought a checkbook. She pulled out a white envelope from her bag. Inside, a cashier's check for $8,500. No interest. I asked. You're lucky to get this, she snapped. This whole thing is ruining us. You did that yourselves, I said. You're not my mother right now. You're a thief. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. Later that week, Haley called from her office phone. She was in tears. Apparently, the article had gone viral. Title? Family steals disabled grandmother's pension. Abandons her at Christmas. Grandson fights back. Over 38,000 shares in less than 48 hours. Her company, a boutique marketing firm, was not amused. Her name was all over the screenshots. That message about leeches and negativity? It had become a meme. I'm getting fired, she sobbed. Do you even understand what you've done? I returned the favor, I told her. Now return the money. She did bit by bit. For payments all tracked. I made her send proof every time. No shortcuts. Ethan held out the longest. At first, he acted invincible. My boss doesn't care, he bragged online. It's all fake news. But then Kelly left him. Filed for separation. Said she wouldn't let their kids grow up in a house where lying and stealing were just another Tuesday. She called me the same day. I'm sorry it took me so long, she whispered. But I see who he really is now. I asked her, do you need help finding a place? She paused for a moment, then said quietly, only if it doesn't come with strings attached. I gave her a small smile. Then yeah, no strings, because you did the right thing. 2 days later, Ethan showed up at my doorstep. He looked rough, scruffy, exhausted, eyes full of fury. You're such an idiot, he spat. You ruined everything. No, I said, handing him an envelope. You did. Inside was a legal notice. Sophie had just filed for a wage garnishment order against him. His hands shook as he tried to tear it up and toss it at me. I didn't move. Pay. Every penny, I said, calm, unbothered. Or we freeze your accounts. Don't believe me? Call Haley. By the end of the second week, every cent had been returned. Mom and Dad gave back the $7,500. Haley, under pressure and suddenly very humble, paid back $2,900, interest included. And Jacob? He had to crawl to his boss for a loan, coughing up the final $2,900 in shame. Total? Just over $14,500. I used $4,000 to finally fix my teeth, something I'd been putting off for far too long. Another $3,000 went to get Grandma a real lift chair and a part-time home nurse to help her move around without pain. The rest? I opened a locked savings account in her name, earning interest with access given only to the two of us. When I showed her the documents, she stared at them, tears sliding down her face. "They took everything from me," she whispered. "But they didn't take you." And in that moment, I knew I'd won. Not just the money, not just the legal fight. I got myself back. All the years of guilt I'd carried. The invisible weight, the sense that I owed them, the ache of being the least loved one in a family full of takers. It finally dropped away like a coat I should have burned long ago. I stood taller than I had in a decade. And when they stopped calling, it wasn't the kind of silence that makes you question yourself. It was clean, sharp, the kind of silence that cuts away rot and leaves only truth behind. For once, the house was quiet without feeling cold. The money was back where it belonged. And Grandma? She was sleeping soundly again. No more waking up every hour, terrified someone would break in and strip her of what little she had left. As for me, I started changing. In the weeks after that final confrontation, I didn't just collect payments. I collected pieces of my life. I left the dead-end job that was draining me dry and signed a remote contract that paid better and let me breathe. I took Grandma out to this old-school diner she used to love. The kind with cracked leather booths and coffee that tasted like boiled tar. We laughed for an hour straight. "I missed this," she said, dunking fries into her milkshake. "You mean your arteries missed this?" I teased. She grinned and shrugged. "I'd rather die laughing with you than choking on shrimp cocktails with those snakes." Fair enough. But even peace has its echoes. They didn't call, but they talked. Haley got spiritual on Facebook, posted a picture of a church candle with a caption about how some people just don't understand forgiveness. Mom started telling relatives I'd manipulated Grandma, conveniently skipping the part where she drained her pension to pay off her liposuction debt. And Jacob? Oh, Ethan went full drama king. He posted some reel on Instagram about toxic siblings, using a clip from Succession and acting like he was some noble heir betrayed by his jealous brother. The caption? "Some people would rather see you fall than rise with them." I laughed for 10 straight minutes. Rise with you? You tried to burn me alive and then dance in the ashes. They wanted to spin a new version of the story, rewrite history, but I had the receipts. I wasn't crawling back into the shadows. The turning point came about 3 weeks later. I was at the grocery store with Grandma. We were pushing her cart through the soup aisle, loading it with ginger ale and split pea, when an older woman walked up to us. Elegant, familiar. She looked at me with a steady gaze. "Excuse me," she said gently. "Are you the one from the article?" I tensed. Didn't know what was coming. But she smiled. "The one who stood up for his grandmother?" I blinked. Yeah, I guess that's me." She looked at Grandma, then back at me. "I just wanted to say thank you for not staying quiet, for doing what so many of us were too scared to do." Then her voice broke a little. "My mother went through the same thing, but no one stood up for her. I wish someone had." She touched my arm, just for a second, then walked away. I turned to Grandma. She stood frozen, hand resting on a soup can, eyes glassy. "I didn't think anyone saw us," she whispered. "They do now," I said quietly. And right then, it hit me. This whole thing, it was never just about the money. It wasn't even about revenge, or trying to prove I wasn't some failure. It was about finally speaking the truth out loud, and letting it stand. For once, I didn't have to shout. I didn't have to explain myself to anyone anymore. The truth was already out there, dragging their names behind it like a garbage bag that had ripped open across a public sidewalk. Every time they tried to act normal, people remembered. Every time they lied, someone in the comments would drop a reminder, clear, sharp, and unflinching. Mom tried to salvage her image. Started a YouTube cooking channel, Cozy Kitchen with Diane. First video? Someone commented, Did you buy that oven with stolen retirement money? Channel was gone within 2 days. Ethan went job hunting. Didn't make it past the background check. Turns out wage garnishment flags scare employers. Who knew? Haley disappeared from the internet for a bit, then popped back up with a new Instagram handle, at fresh_path_Haley. She posted filtered yoga shots and vague inspirational quotes about removing toxic people, which was hilarious because I didn't just walk away from her. I exiled her. She didn't get cut off. She got cut out. Months passed. I moved into a new place. Quiet, clean, simple, furnished with second-hand pieces I picked out myself. Nothing from them. Nothing touched by their hands or their taste. I brought Grandma with me. One room for her. One for me. She decorated hers with old family photos and this thick, lumpy blanket she crocheted back in '93. She called it the fort. One evening she knocked on my bedroom door, sat down slow on the edge of the bed. "I've got a question," she said. "When you saw that note, the one they left, why didn't you just leave? Why'd you stay?" I thought about it for a second, then said, "Because I remembered who I was before they made me forget." She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." That hit harder than every insult they'd ever thrown my way. Because she meant it. And no one else in that family ever really had. A few weeks later, I bumped into Kelly outside a coffee shop. She looked different. Stronger. More at ease. She told me she'd been taking night classes. Working toward a certification. Trying to build something real. "I didn't know I could live like this," she said. "Without constantly worrying about what he'd do next. You gave me that." I didn't know what to say. She stepped a little closer. "You didn't just change your own life," she said. "You changed mine too." I nodded. Quietly. And maybe for the first time, I actually believed it. So here it is. My ending. You want to know what happened to them? They destroyed their own names trying to bury mine. You want to know what happened to me? I stopped waiting for them to call me family. And I started building something real with people who never made me beg to be loved. And now? Now I sleep. Lights off. Doors unlocked. Peacefully. Because I'm not afraid of what they'll take next. They already took everything. And I took it back.